The entire stock market is crashing right now. Nvidia actually got subpoenaed and was down 10% throughout the day. And cryptos, my beloved cryptos, are not doing too good. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of panic going around. So first of all, like I was saying, our major stocks, almost none of them are doing too well. Google down 4.5, Apple down 3.5, Microsoft down 2.3, Nvidia down 10%. There's a couple green ones in the midst, but I think we can all see the general trend here of red despair, red darkness. Just a lot of panic around and about. Part of it probably comes because of what is said right here. I will say that already Nvidia wasn't doing too well, supposedly before this news actually dropped. And I have to say it's quite interesting how Nvidia right now and their movements is affecting the broader market. Nvidia $280 billion wipeout, the biggest in US history, drags down global chip stocks. Global semiconductor and associated stocks fell on Wednesday following a steep plunge in Nvidia share prices in the US overnight. On Tuesday, around $280 billion of value was wiped off of Nvidia, and that apparently was the biggest one-day market cap drop for a US stock in history. Nvidia's shares continued sliding in post-market trading Tuesday, falling 2% after Bloomberg reported that the company received a subpoena from the Department of Justice as part of an antitrust investigation. And I mean, yeah, I think about 1 trillion was wiped out of the markets just yesterday. And yeah, looking at it, there's greed, but the Nasdaq down 3%, VIX at 20, Nvidia down 10% in a day. It's quite interesting how everything is moving. And the number was about 1.05 trillion wiped out from the US stock market in a day, with a very large portion of that being from Nvidia. Having said that, there are two major events, or rather two major things to watch when it comes to stocks, when it comes to indices. One that everybody's got their eye on is the real-time recession indicator. And what is basically noted upon is that we're ramping up, and almost every single time it ramps up this quickly and this high, a recession follows pretty quickly afterwards. But since we've only got about 2 weeks until the next FOMC meeting, where supposedly everything's going to change, I mean, they're going to start cutting rates, most likely, right? Which usually is really bullish for the markets. And now some of the speculation going around is that a lot of these price decreases are coming from a bigger fear that the gains were already priced in of these rate cuts. Meaning that we all know things are about to get really exciting over the next few months. So things were going up. And sometimes with the idea that a recession is going to hit soon enough though, people kind of panic over each other, especially when the numbers are weak and it becomes a little bit of a tumble, a little bit of a cascade. Because $280 billion in a day is not nothing, ladies and gentlemen. And so you might be wondering, how did crypto do? Oh yeah, amazing. Yeah, no, the crypto market definitely didn't do any better. I mean, we're down roughly 2% or so over the last day. Bitcoin right back at 56,000. Ethereum was at 2350 or so. A lot of the coins we know and love went down extremely hard. The past hour, though, has been quite exciting, with AVA up 5.5% in just an hour, which is pretty amazing. Polygon is down the worst, and let's actually see today. The worst coin is TON and NOT, both respectively down 10%, and DOGE. And on the best side, we've got Bitcoin SV and AVA, obviously. But generally speaking, nothing's doing too well. Just for fun, the weekly here, Monero is actually the best. And over on a monthly perspective, it is Helium, up 100% in just a month. That is pretty massive. Oh, and by the way, it's not like that's where all the bad news for crypto ended. Matter of fact, things actually got slightly worse. Okay, it was slightly worse before the stock market did these crazy negative numbers. And in reality, I don't think Bitcoin going down to 56 here is really as bad as we've seen in the stock market. It's not a direct, I guess, perfect correlation here. But what we saw in the crypto market in terms of the most important news of just last night, the SEC charging crypto advisory firm Galois Capital for custody failures. And so The long story short about what they did is they used Fireblocks as a custodian, and I'm not so sure where exactly it went wrong. Perhaps it was a client trying to redeem and it took too long, or maybe they snitched, I don't know, or it was just the SEC investigating, because obviously it's a registered capital in the US. But apparently, Galois actually filed Fireblocks and they thought everything was fine, redemptions were going okay. But if I could believe what it says right here, they eventually decided to settle for a $225,000 penalty with the SEC, stating this: after an exhaustive and costly investigation of nearly 2 years, and without admitting or denying the findings, they agreed to pay this sum, which will directly go to our investors, which I think is interesting. We're glad to put this matter behind us. We used Fireblocks, a non-qualified custodian, and that's again where the key issue lies, as a best-in-class solution to secure our crypto assets. Although Fireblocks was not a qualified custodian, we believe they were the best solution for our needs, and in our opinion, the safest way to secure crypto for our investors at the time. We disclosed our use of Fireblocks in our Form 88 fee filing with the SEC. We also had a redemption policy for our investors that required at least 5 business days notice before month end for redemption. However, we thought it would be a nice thing to do to allow investors out the fund earlier if they didn't want to be there without having to wait the full 5 business days. As a result, no good deed goes unpunished. What more is there to say? And again, you might ask yourself, so what's exactly the issue? Well, partially, I don't quite get it. Because somebody asked, did you get sued because you didn't use a qualified custodian or because you didn't want to disclose? Well, obviously, because they didn't use a qualified, like they stated in their part right here. But I wonder what this last part then refers to, the fact that they were allowing these redemptions earlier. Why did that need to be mentioned? Was there any issue with that then? I mean, the whole complaint on the SEC's part makes it seem like this is like a war crime almost. It's like really heavy the way they're portraying it all. The SEC today announced settling charges against Florida-based Galois Capital, yada, yada, yada. A former, right, which is again makes things more obvious, registered investment advisor for a private fund that primarily invested in crypto assets for failing to comply with the requirements related to the safeguarding of client assets, including crypto assets being offered and sold as securities, which to me was quite peculiar again that this wording was used. The commission also found that Galois misled fund investors about the notice period required for redemptions. So again, it becomes kind of difficult to understand if they did it wrong or if the people just thought they could redeem it instantly, even though it was officially 5 days. Are they lying? I don't think so, because obviously they're putting an official statement out there. It's not smart to not state the truth because everybody can find out. And this part is also always interesting to me, right? I don't really fully get how the legal system works in this sense, but just read with me here. The SEC's order found that Galois Capital violated the Investment Advisors Act. Without admitting or denying the SEC's findings, Galois consented to the entry of an order requiring it to cease and desist from further violations of the Advisor Act, censoring it and imposing the civil penalties discussed above. So basically they're saying, hey, the SEC, this is kind of how it went with Ripple too, but it's such a funny legal loophole. Okay, so the SEC said we're doing something wrong. We're not saying we're doing something wrong, nor are we saying we're not doing something wrong, but you know what? We'll pay out whatever you want. Or a little bit less, but we're going to pay out anyway. Well, but if you didn't do anything wrong, then why'd you have to pay out? I guess that's the price of business, the price of lawsuits, if you think about it, too many times in life do you maybe have to pay for things that weren't your fault or that you shouldn't actually pay for. Yeah, damn. Anyway, guys, that's kind of the news going on in the crypto space right now. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you press the like button, and I'll probably see you guys again in another crypto video somewhere later today.